Have you ever dreamed of a perfect morning? A morning where you wake up and there is no buzzing mosquito by your ear, where you open the window and not a single fly enters your home, where you take a walk in the park and not a single bee startles you. A world without insects. It sounds like paradise, doesn't it? An absolute, clean and peaceful silence. But be careful what you wish for, because that silence, that cleanliness, might just be the prelude to a nightmare humanity has never imagined. Let us conduct a thought experiment. Let's assume that at exactly midnight last night, through some miracle or some mysterious catastrophe, every single insect on planet Earth, from the tiniest ant to the most brilliant butterfly, from the diligent dung beetle to the darting dragonfly, simultaneously vanished. The first morning, we probably wouldn't notice right away. We would enjoy the quiet. But this isn't the quiet of peace. It is a deadly silence. The symphony of life has just lost its largest orchestra. It's estimated there are about 10 quintillion individual insects alive on our planet at any given moment. Their combined biomass is greater than that of all 8 billion humans, and we just erased them all. So, how would our world change after 24 hours, 1 week, 1 month, and 1 year without insects? Prepare yourself, because the answer will make you look at these tiny creatures in a completely different way. Day 3 to Day 7. The first change, and perhaps the most tragically beautiful, takes place in the world of flowers. Over 80% of all flowering plant species on Earth, including nearly 75% of our most important food crops, depend on insects for pollination. Without bees, butterflies, beetles, and flies, their reproductive process comes to an abrupt halt. Fields of sunflowers still turn towards the sun, but they will never produce seeds. Orchards of apples, coffee, and cacao will still blossom in a final, vibrant farewell, but those flowers will only wither and fall in silence, never setting fruit. Strawberries, blueberries, watermelons, almonds, avocados, all of those magnificent flavors are now just a memory. Global agriculture as we know, it begins to fracture at its very foundation. Week 2 to week 4. Now, the tragedy spreads to the animal kingdom. A second mass extinction begins, swift and brutal. Billions of creatures whose food chains depend directly on insects begin to starve en masse. The skies begin to fall, eerily silent. Insect-eating birds like swallows, sparrows, and woodpeckers have nothing left to eat. We would see them falling from the sky, or slowly perishing in their empty nests. In the ponds and lakes, fish that feed on insect larvae, like trout and perch, share the same fate. Amphibians like frogs and toads, nature's insect-eating machines, would be almost completely wiped out. So too would reptiles like lizards and chameleons. Even small mammals like bats, shrews, and anteaters would starve. Within a single month, an estimated 60% of all terrestrial bird, reptile, and amphibian species could be gone. The forests, rivers, and grasslands would fall unnervingly quiet. That is the sound of a food web being torn apart. Month 2 to month 6. If you thought famine and agricultural collapse were the worst of it, you would be wrong. Now, our world begins to face an even more horrifying problem. It begins to clog. Insects are not just food, they are the planet's greatest cleanup crew. Species like dung beetles, flies, cockroaches, and termites play an indispensable role in breaking down organic waste. Without them, everything starts to pile up. The corpses of the billions of animals that died in the Great Starvation do not decompose effectively. They would simply mummify, or be very slowly broken down by bacteria and fungi, becoming massive breeding grounds for disease. The feces of large surviving animals, like cattle and elephants, would no longer have diligent dung beetles to process it. Fields would be covered in manure, polluting water sources and the land itself. In the forests, fallen trees would no longer have termites, ants, and beetles to burrow into them, soften them, and return their nutrients to the soil. Dry wood would accumulate, turning forests into massive tinderboxes, ready to erupt into the most terrifying wildfires in history. The soil itself would also begin to die. Without ants and other soil organisms constantly digging and aerating, the soil would become hard and compacted, unable to hold water or air. The soil's nutrient cycle, the very foundation of all terrestrial life, would be completely broken. 1 year later, the human world has changed forever. Famine is rampant. Coffee, chocolate, honey, and most fruits and vegetables are now just luxurious memories. Humanity must now subsist primarily on wind-pollinated crops like wheat, corn, and rice. But even these crops are struggling as the soil continues to degrade. The natural world is no longer vibrant with the color of flowers. Instead, it is a monotonous green of ferns, mosses, and other plants that self-pollinate or rely on the wind. But there is one thing that begins to thrive with terrifying vigor: fungus. With no insects to eat them or compete with them, molds and fungi begin to cover the landscape. Humid forests might become otherworldly realms of giant mushrooms, a scene both magnificent and horrifying. The food web continues its collapse. Larger carnivores which fed on the insect eaters now have nothing to eat. The collapse ripples all the way to the top of the ecological pyramid. Human civilization, built upon a foundation of biodiversity we casually took for granted, now faces complete and total collapse. Now, open your eyes. Listen. The buzz of a honeybee, the chirping of crickets on a summer afternoon, the shimmering flash of a dragonfly's wings. Those are not annoyances. They are the heartbeat of a healthy planet. They are the symphony of life that we are fortunate to be a part of. This thought experiment of a world without insects shows us an undeniable truth. Our very survival depends on these tiny, often overlooked creatures. They pollinate our crops. They are food for countless other species. They regenerate our soil. They clean our planet. They are the invisible, yet indispensable, gears that keep the great machine of Earth running smoothly. Today, insect populations around the world are declining at an alarming rate due to habitat loss, pesticides, and climate change. The scenario we just imagined, while extreme, is a powerful warning of a future we could face if we do not act. The next time you see a bee, thank it for your meal. The next time you see a dung beetle, thank it for keeping the planet clean. And the next time you see a mosquito, well, you can still probably swat it. But do so with a newfound respect, with the understanding that even the most irritating creatures are part of a complex and miraculous web of life. A web that we cannot survive without. Because the silence we should truly fear is not the buzz of an insect, but the silence when they are all gone for good.